The gauntlet chamber hummed with the sound of its own killing breath. 12 soldiers had walked in. 12 body bags had been dragged out. The 13th was the soldier they called the specimen, a pale, perpetually trembling enlistee, so physiologically wrong he'd been relegated to latrine duty. He stepped inside with the same vacant expression he wore during punishments. The hatch sealed. The timer started at 60 seconds. That was the official estimate before every soldier collapsed, lungs seizing inside a mask of vaporized toxin.
It doesn't hurt. I can still breathe. Why can I still breathe?
For 59 seconds, nothing moved inside the sealed chamber. The timer ticked down to 0. Then the hatch unsealed, the vapor cleared, and the specimen emerged, walking. His vitals were completely flat.
He should be dead. The toxin concentration was calibrated for immediate cardiac arrest. Get the medical scanner now.
The scanner confirmed it. No heartbeat, 0 cardiac activity. Yet he stood before them, conscious and breathing.
This is an equipment malfunction. Dismiss all observations. No reports. That is a direct order.
The scanner tape showed a flat line, proof of cardiac silence. But Ryo's order hung in the air like a threat.
That wasn't a malfunction. His body should have reacted. Why didn't it?
By the time Kazu returned to his bunk, the whispers had already begun. The freak who survived.
Hey, specimen. Heard you cheated death. Too bad you couldn't cheat your way out of latrine duty.
Just ignore him. You've heard worse. You've always heard worse.
In a cramped lab, Dr. Akira pulled up the cage schematics, her heart pounding as she traced the toxin dispersal.
The concentration targeted adrenaline. It should have killed him in under 60 seconds, but it ignored him completely.
In his office, Commander Ryo reviewed the incident log. Jaw tight, he deleted the raw data from the main server. Kazu lay on his bunk, staring at the ceiling, the weight of his impossible survival pressing down. But in the lab, Akira cross-referenced Kazu's vitals with the toxin profile. A terrible suspicion formed. She locked the lab door and delved deeper, comparing the toxin's molecular structure to standard combat stimulants.
The compound reacts to spikes in cortisol and epinephrine, the stress cocktail of a soldier in combat. It's not designed to kill anyone with normal stress levels. It hunts the adrenaline. It hunts the fighters.
She ran a simulation with average soldier profiles, 12 simulations, 12 cardiac arrests in under 60 seconds.
This isn't a training accident. It's a purge. They're killing their own most experienced soldiers.
But when she plugged in Kazu's file, the raw enzyme data, the simulation flatlined. The toxin ignored him entirely.
He lacks the enzyme. He was never a target. They threw him in knowing it would kill any normal soldier. If this gets out, the entire chain of command could be implicated. I can't trust anyone.
She copied the data onto a portable drive, her hands trembling, and slipped it into her coat. The reckoning cage was a silent executioner, and now she was its keeper's next target. Past midnight, Dr. Akira accessed the sealed medical archives and pulled the one file Ryo should have read, Kazu's childhood records.
Congenital enzyme deficiency. No stress response. He was born unable to produce the toxin's target.
She found him in the only blind spot on the base, a dark storage room where cameras didn't reach.
Kazu, your file says you lack a stress enzyme. That's why you survived the cage. The toxin was designed to react with adrenaline.
So I wasn't just a failure. This body, it was the only one that couldn't die in there. But that means the commanders sent me in as a joke. They didn't know I'd survive. They were testing a murder weapon.
They've been using it for years. Operation Silent Purge. 12 soldiers eliminated, every one of them an adrenalized veteran.
The pages detailed a silent extermination program, targeting the Corps' most capable. Anyone too independent to control.
I was supposed to be number 13, but I am still standing. They'll try again.
We can't report this through normal channels. Ryo will bury us. But if we don't do something, you are a walking dead man.
Commander Ryo's patience had run out. He summoned Tanaka before dawn, the room still dark.
You want me to keep an eye on the specimen? Consider it done, sir.
Tanaka's harassment turned venomous tripwires. sabotaged gear, constant surveillance.
Hey, freak. Commander thinks you're a security risk. Not that you'd know how to fight if your life depended on it.
He's not just a bully anymore. He's a warden. They're not even hiding it now.
In the command center, Ryo laid out a new training exercise, a live-fire drill with acceptable risk.
An explosive malfunction during the night exercise. Tragic, but not suspicious. The specimen won't walk away from this one.
Kazu caught fragments of the plan through thin walls and careless whispers. The trap was already set.
They're going to try again. But this time, I know the game. I just need to stay alive long enough to expose them.
The countdown was no longer 60 seconds. It was a matter of hours. Kazu slipped a folded note under the lab door. Within the hour, they were back in the storage room, voices barely above a whisper.
General Takeda is the only one who can overrule Ryo directly. But he'll need irrefutable proof, the original medical file.
The old file from the archives. It's still there, buried. If I can get it, we'll have the one thing Ryo can't delete.
That night, Kazu crept through the maintenance corridors, avoiding guards with the precision of someone used to being invisible. The archive room was silent, rows of cabinets holding the forgotten. His file was exactly where Akira said, stamped with a childhood diagnosis no one had ever flagged.
This piece of paper saved my life once. Now it has to save it again.
At the service gate, a routine scan lit up the guard's terminal. Ryo's silent alert had already flagged their credentials as compromised. The alarm blared. They ran, boots echoing through concrete tunnels, the base erupting behind them.
They'll brand us deserters. There's no turning back now.
They vanished into the night with a faded medical file and the name of a general who might be their last hope, or their final judge. At a secluded outpost, General Takeda granted them a private audience, his weathered face unreadable as Akira placed the medical file on the table.
Sir, this is Kazu's childhood medical file. He lacks the enzyme the cage targets. The device is a purge, not a training tool.
Preposterous. The reckoning cage is a standard endurance test. This file proves nothing.
But as he glanced at the pages, his expression shifted, not surprise, but a cold, dangerous calculation.
He already knows. He's not going to help us. He's part of it.
You two have committed treason by deserting. I am ordering your immediate arrest, and that file will be destroyed.
He signaled guards hidden in the shadows. The trap was sprung.
Kazu, the file. Don't let them take it.
Kazu grabbed the file and they bolted through a rear exit, alarms wailing as the general's true colors bled into the open. Now branded traitors by the very chain of command, they were hunted by their own military. No allies left, only the fragile paper in Kazu's trembling hand. In a darkened briefing room, Tanaka overheard Ryo's unfiltered orders. Eliminate the specimen, silence any witness, and erase the cage files permanently.
I was just supposed to keep him in line, not be part of an execution squad. They're using me as a cleaner.
He used the old supply route codes Akira had left behind, tracking Kazu to a derelict maintenance shed beyond the base perimeter.
Don't shoot me on sight. I brought something better than bullets. Proof of Ryo's kill order.
Tanaka, after everything he did. But if that chip is real, it's our only chance to hit back.
He inserted the chip into a portable console. Ryo's full deployment orders scrolled across the screen, including the faked explosive malfunction for the night drill.
The base's broadcast station controls every screen in the sector. If we can seize it, we can air this entire file live before they shut us down.
It's a suicide mission. Once we start broadcasting, every unit on base will converge on that tower. Are you ready for that?
I stopped pretending the day I heard Ryo laugh about the body count. Let them come. We'll take the truth live and make them watch.
They had a plan, a target, and less than 6 hours before Ryo's exercise became a real execution, the signal would either save them or mark their graves. They broke into the broadcast station just before dawn, Tanaka's stolen keycard cutting through the last door.
Get to the console. I'll seal the blast doors. That'll buy us 10 minutes, maybe less.
The console flickered to life. Kazu uploaded the file, and the evidence began scrolling across every public screen in the sector. The medical file, the kill order, the toxin formula, all broadcast live, a cascade of classified horror. An explosion at the main relay cut the feed. Rio's counterstrike was immediate and brutal. The stream was dead.
They cut the line. We only got half the data out. Half the truth isn't enough.
It wasn't enough. They'll spin this as a terrorist hack, and we're trapped.
In the command center, Rio watched the partial broadcast and began crafting a false narrative to bury the truth.
A failed terrorist attack on our communications. The traitors will be eliminated within the hour.
The truth had flickered, but the cage still stood. And now Rio knew exactly where to find them. As Rio's soldiers breached the broadcast tower, Kazu and Tanaka escaped through a maintenance shaft, the building already swarming.
They're hitting Akira's safe house next. The encrypted channel just cut off. She didn't get our warning.
Every public screen flickered, and Commander Rio's cold face filled the display. A press conference, live.
This morning, a terrorist cell, led by Dr. Akira and the deserter Kazu, launched a cyber attack. Their lies have endangered national security.
Then the screen showed Akira, hands bound, shoved into an armored vehicle. Her glasses were broken.
They'll break her, paint her as a monster, and the world will believe every word.
We can't save her now, but we can finish this. I know where they keep the original cage schematics. A lab outside the base.
They slipped deeper into the city's underbelly, the weight of failure pressing like the toxic fumes of the cage itself.
No allies, no army, just a ghost and a defector, and a truth too dangerous to believe.
The official story held. The reckoning cage remained a classified weapon, and its keepers slept without fear. In a forgotten archive beneath the city, decades of military files sat untouched, personnel records discarded by a system that hated its own.
This terminal isn't networked. It's a graveyard of old data, but the cage records are still here. I found them.
Files scrolled past. Dozens of soldiers, all certified deceased, all with identical cardiac trauma. Everyone a cage victim within the last year.
12 was just the beginning. This is decades of silent murder. The cage was a machine built to kill heroes, not accidents.
Buried in the data was a name, Yuki, an independent journalist who had written exposés on covert military ops.
She's been chasing the cage story for months. If we hand her this archive, she'll publish before Rio can bury it again.
They dialed from a stolen comm. The journalist's voice was sharp, cautious.
Send me the files. I'll verify them and break the story within the hour. But if this is a setup, I'll make sure your face is on every screen.
The upload finished. For the first time since the hatch sealed, a sliver of hope cut through the dread. A block away, Rio's surveillance team locked onto the signal. The countdown had begun again. A sharp alert blared from their scanner. Rio's patrols had triangulated the upload and were closing fast.
They've locked on. Move now through the old drainage tunnel. We can lose them in the maze.
They sprinted through concrete arteries, the rumble of armored personnel carriers echoing behind them.
Every second they gain is a second Yuki has to break the story. If we fall, the truth falls with us.
In her cramped office, Yuki cross-referenced the files with known military deaths. The matches were irrefutable.
The files are authentic. I am releasing them in 10 minutes. Just tell me you are still breathing.
The tunnel forked. Tanaka shoved open a rusted gate, and they ducked into a sub-level service corridor. A searchlight swept the alley behind them, missing the gate by inches. The heavy steps of soldiers passed, then receded. They crouched in the darkness, chests heaving, the silence as fragile as the hope they clung to. On Yuki's screen, the article went live, but a red dot on her security feed signaled that Ryo's hunters had not stopped. Yuki's article detonated across every major outlet. Operation Silent Purge exposed in brutal detail. The public erupted. Protesters filled the Capitol Square, demanding answers, holding signs with the names of the fallen. Under mounting pressure, military authorities arrested Commander Ryo on charges of treason and unlawful termination.
They actually took him. The evidence was enough. But why do I feel like this is just the beginning?
Within hours, a high command statement absolved General Takeda and framed Ryo as a lone rogue operator.
A tragic overreach by one compromised commander. The military will conduct a full review and hold only the guilty accountable.
Kazu, the review won't touch Takeda. He's scrubbed the chain. Ryo's the scapegoat. But the program continues.
Ryo is in chains, but the machine still turns. Takeda sits untouched in its center. This isn't over.
The reckoning cage was sealed pending investigation, but its architects remained hidden behind brass and metals. For the public, justice was done. For Kazu, the real battle had only begun. The warehouse door blew inward with a thunderclap. Takeda's Black Ops unit moved in, silenced rifles first.
Kazu, run. They're here to silence the truth. Go through the back. I'll buy you time.
Before Kazu could argue, Tanaka shoved him through the rear exit, then kicked a grenade back into the swarm. The explosion threw Kazu down the stairs. When the ringing stopped, only fire and silence came from above.
Number. No, he can't be. Not after everything we survived. Answer me, Tanaka.
Only a crackling radio answered. Then, through the static, a broken voice fought through the noise. Tanaka's final transmission. Takeda's personal server. Lab code T-5. Take them down, Kazu. For all of us. The signal died. Kazu stared at the silent device, the weight of another name added to the list of the fallen.
He was my tormentor, then my ally, and now my martyr. The debt can only be paid in fire.
He rose to his feet. T-5. The address burned into his mind. There could be no more running. The lab code T-5 was hidden beneath an abandoned clinic, sealed by a biometric lock that still recognized a dead scientist's credentials. Kazu slipped through as the system flickered, the stench of old chemicals mixing with the cold air of forgotten experiments. Inside, on a dust-covered terminal, a single file remained, a video confession from the original toxin's creator. They called it the Cage, a filter to remove soldiers who questioned orders. Forgive me, I built their executioner.
This is it. The original sin, recorded by its architect, Takeda's signature on every order.
He copied the file onto a hardened drive, the terminal's screen flickering as ancient surveillance protocols reawakened. Alarms shrieked. Lockdown alerts spread through the hidden levels. They knew someone had breached the sanctum.
No more hiding. This evidence puts the noose around Takeda's neck. I just have to survive the delivery.
He smashed a window and climbed into the ventilation shaft, the clamor of boots echoing in the corridor below. He dropped into an alley, the drive clutched to his chest, sirens wailing. The truth was his only weapon now. Yuki arranged a closed session with a military oversight committee, the only body with authority to air the full truth.
For every soldier erased, every family that never got an answer, this drive is their voice. Play it.
The scientist's confession filled every screen, followed by the kill orders and the decades of hidden casualties. Within hours, protests erupted across the capital, a sea of faces holding photos of the fallen.
The committee has no choice now. They've opened a formal investigation into General Takeda and the entire Silent Purge chain.
Military High Command issued a tepid statement, promising a review, but the streets refused to quiet.
This is a smear campaign by deserters. The evidence is fabricated, and I will personally ensure the traitors are found.
But the video of his own orders had already undermined him. The protests only grew louder.
They hear us now. But the cage's architects are still free. This isn't victory, it's only the beginning of the end.
The reckoning cage was no longer a secret, and for the first time, its keepers were afraid. The military tribunal laid bare every file, every recording, every ghost of the cage.
They weren't casualties. They were murders. Soldiers killed for being too strong.
Dr. Akira, freed and vindicated, presented the medical proof. The court listened in stunned silence. Takeda's defense crumbled under the video confession. His face, once stone, betrayed only fear. The tribunal sentenced Takeda to life without parole. His inner circle followed. Ryo's charges multiplied. Days later, the reckoning cage was brought down, its vents and chambers reduced to rubble.
I survived because my body was broken. That brokenness tore down a machine of death.
Operation Silent Purge was terminated. The military issued an apology and commissioned a memorial for all victims.
For Tanaka, for the 12, for the decades of silenced names.
The war was over, but the peace still felt like a wound. The state awarded him medals he never wanted. Applause rang hollow against the names carved in stone.
They smile and shake my hand, but every name on that wall is a life I couldn't save.
When the crowds left, Kazu and Akira stood alone before the memorial. He placed a white flower.
You don't have to carry this alone, Kazu. None of this was your fault.
I know, but I can't stay. The uniform still feels like a cage.
That evening, he submitted his resignation. The military accepted without protest. At the gate, Akira handed him his civilian papers. No words were needed.
I was never meant to be a soldier. My body told them that. My soul finally listened.
He walked away as the sun set, the shadows of the base shrinking behind him. The war was over, but peace was a road he would walk alone for now. The bus dropped him at the edge of a town that hadn't changed, but felt smaller than he remembered.
This house, this yard, I used to play here without knowing what the world would become.
In a dusty drawer, he found a photograph. 2 boys with toy soldiers, grinning at the camera.
He enlisted after that photo. I was too weak to follow. Now he's dead, and I am still breathing.
The cemetery was quiet, the headstone simple. Only a name and a date, no mention of the cage. No mention of the cage.
You should have been the one to survive. Not me, not the useless specimen.
He placed a white flower on the grave and sat in the grass as the afternoon light softened.
My broken body saved me, but maybe that brokenness was never a flaw. It was a purpose.
He closed his eyes, and for the first time since the hatch had opened, the trembling ceased. When he stood, the weight had lifted. The road ahead was uncertain, but he was no longer a ghost. Back in his childhood home, he unfolded the old medical file. The yellowed pages still marked him as anomalous.
Congenital enzyme deficiency. The words that almost killed me, then saved everyone.
He traced the ink with a finger, reading the diagnosis that had made him an outcast.
I hid this page my whole life. Now it's the only proof that my existence mattered.
He closed the file and walked outside. The afternoon sun felt warm, familiar.
I was never broken. I was just different, and different can shatter cages.
He folded the file one last time and slipped it into a box of keepsakes, not to hide it, but to honor it. For the first time, he looked at his hands and saw no tremble at all.
This is who I am. Not a flaw, not a weapon, just me.
And the wind carried away the last echoes of the cage. Months later, Kazu found work in a small repair shop. His hands, once tremulous, now held tools steady.
Fixing machines is simpler than fixing systems, but at least they stay fixed.
The old television in the shop flickered with a breaking news report. Military reforms were now in effect. All covert lethality programs were abolished. New oversight committees monitored every training facility.
The dead didn't come back, but their blood bought these changes. I made sure of that.
He watched a segment showing young cadets training under open regulations. The shadow of the purge lifted. A photo of the memorial flashed on screen. He recognized his own hand placing the flower.
That was a lifetime ago. Now I am just a mechanic, and that's enough.
He walked outside into the afternoon bustle. The city moved around him, ordinary and oblivious, and that, perhaps, was the greatest victory. The reckoning cage was now merely data in a sealed archive, its vents cold and silent. Kazu walked through a park near the old base, cherry blossoms drifting around him.
I used to think the trembling was weakness. It was just fear draining from my body.
His hands, once a map of constant tremor, hung calmly at his sides. He watched a group of cadets training in the distance. their formations clean and open of secrets. The sun felt warm on his face. The bitterness had long since dissolved.
This is enough. This quiet. This ordinary day without fear.
He smiled, a small, unguarded smile that reached his eyes for the first time. Then he turned and walked back into the flow of the city, indistinguishable from everyone else. And that, perhaps, was the greatest victory of all.